Hello, today we are going to develop the plot diagram of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. To start, let me introduce to you my team. My team is formed by Moises Núñez, Pablo José Zelaya Cuadra, Kevin Owen Lopez, and me. It is Madeline Arevalo Gonzalez. Now I'm going to introduce to you the first part of the plot diagram, which is exposition. Everything starts when in the poem the King Arthur is having a feasting and having a party. They are celebrating New Year's Eve when suddenly a strange silhouette or a figure makes an appearance, and this thing is the Green Knight. Everybody is impressed for everything they are seeing when suddenly this Green Knight says that he wants the bravest man on the court. Nobody wants to say a word, and even the King Arthur is quiet. So when suddenly this Sir Gawain, in a moment he cuts the knight's head. Every single person in the room is speechless due to the things they are seeing. So the knight grabs his head and then he keeps on walking. When Sir Gawain cuts the knight's head, immediately he becomes the man who is going to fight with the Green Knight.
It's me, Moises Núñez, and I'll explain more about this topic. So I'll explain about the rising action. In the rising action, we have that a year has passed, and it's All Saints' Day. In this day, Sir Gawain makes his brilliant preparations to leave Camelot in quest of the Green Knight. Then he has to undergo to a holy ritual, and after that, he just mounts his horse with the name of Gringolet, and they both head off to North Wales. In the journey to North Wales, Sir Gawain has to travel through the wilderness. Then he has to face a lot of beasts, to suffer hunger and cold. And for that reason, as he's really desperate because he's really afraid of freezing to death because he's really cold, all of a sudden he decides to pray to the Lord in order to find a place to rest because he's really desperate of suffering cold. And after he finishes his prayer, he looks up and he sees a castle off in the distance. So he decides to go to the distance, to the castle, to be safe. After Sir Gawain arrives to the castle, and the lord of the castle, whose name is Bertilac, receives him and welcomes him in a really warmly way. So Bertilac introduces his lady and the old woman who sits beside the lady. And I forget to say that it was on Christmas Day. So just for fun and for holiday day, the host of the castle decides to invite Sir Gawain to participate in a game, So in this game consists that for 3 days, Sir Gawain will have to stay in the castle and rest there, while Bertilac will go out hunting with his men every single day. And after the host of the castle comes back to the castle, they will exchange his winnings with anything that Sir Gawain has gotten or has acquired in the castle.
Hello, Mr. Romero. My name is Pablo Zelaya, and I'll be talking about the climax of the poem. The climax starts with the 3 days of hunting. The first day, the Lord goes out to hunt while Gawain is resting in his bed. And while the Lord is out there hunting, his wife gets into Gawain's bedroom and tries to seduce him. But Gawain rejects her. However, the lady gets to kill him once. So when the Lord gets back, he gives Gawain the deer because he hunts a deer. So he gives Gawain the deer, and Gawain gives him a kiss back in exchange because that's what they agreed, right? So the second day, it happens again. The Lord goes out to hunt, and the lady tries to seduce Gawain again, and at this time she gets to kiss him twice. So when the Lord gets back, he gives Gawain a, what do you call them, a wild pig, because the second time he hunts a wild pig. So he gives Gawain the wild pig, and Gawain gives him 2 kisses in return. Now the third day, the lady gives Gawain like a magical belt, and this magical belt protects the owner from death. That's what the lady tells Gawain that this belt does. And when the Lord gets back from hunting, he gives Gawain a fox. The third time the Lord hunts a fox, and he gives Gawain the fox. But Gawain this time lies, because this time Gawain gives him 3 kisses. He doesn't mention anything about the belt. And then the next day, Gawain leaves to go and look for the Green Knight.
Falling action and resolution. Gawain and a guide decide to set off their journey to the Green Chapel. On the journey, the guide tells Gawain, if you decide to turn around and avoid the challenge, I won't tell anyone. But Gawain tells him that he is decided to face his fate head on, knowing that he secretly has the girdle making him immortal. So when they arrive to the Green Chapel, the Green Knight emerges to greet Gawain. Gawain just kneels down, accepting that he's about to be killed with the axe. And in the first attempt, just imagine that this is the axe. In the first attempt, the Green Knight does not kill him because he flinched, because Gawain flinched. Show some courage, says the Green Knight. Then in the second attempt, Gawain does not flinch, but so he starts to get a little bit angry. In the third attempt, he does not kill him, but slightly touches him and drawing some blood around his neck. So Gawain just steps up, just being angry, but the Green Knight starts to laugh, ha ha ha, explaining to him why he is alive still, and that he knows about everything, that he was actually the Mr. Bertilag, the Lord of the castle, and that he knows about everything, about his failure, about the girdle. He knows about everything, about the kisses. And because of the kisses, he decided to spare his life, to not kill him. And because of the girdle, he decided to also slightly touch him with the axe. And basically, this story tells us that not every hero is perfect. Everyone has its flaws, their flaws, and that not every villain is that bad after all.
Moving on to the literary terms, I'm going to explain 4 of them. So the setting is the place in which the poem or the tale or the novel takes place. In this case, this poem takes place in the medieval England. To be precise, in the King Arthur's area around the 6th century. Some places that are mentioned on the poem are Amelot, Bertilac's Castle, and the Green Chapel. Number 2, genre. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight belongs to a fairy tale-like story mixed with romance. Number 3, the conflict. In this case, the conflict is external because Sir Gawain has to play the game or fight with an external force, which is the Green Knight. Number 4, we have the protagonist and the antagonist. The protagonist is pretty obvious. In this case is Sir Gawain, and the antagonist is the Green Knight.
So now, teacher, Mr. Romero, I explain about the literary terms. The first is allegory. In the allegorical sense, we have that the knight represents Jesus Christ, and Mr. Gawain represents Christian himself, who struggles to follow the knight. And the other literary term is the characters. So in the first characters we had the dynamic character, but first I gotta say that in the dynamic characters are the ones who suffer some changes throughout the development of the history, and they are evolving. So in this story we have that the knight, the Green Knight, and the Sir Gawain are dynamic characters. Then we have the static characters, who are the characters that are very flat. You know, they don't suffer any change and they always remain the same. And in this case, we have Mrs. Bertilac as a static character.
Now I'll be talking about two of the literary terms that we found, we as a group. Okay, the first one is point of view, and the point of view of this poem is in third person simple present. Third person simple present. And the theme is humility, one of them, truthfulness, and faith. And these three aspects, or these 3 points, can be read all along the poem. For example, the faith, we can see that the Gawain has some kind of faith in this belt that he gets during the story, that, you know, the magical belt. So those are the themes that we found in the poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
2 literary terms. The first one is foreshadowing. There are quite some examples of foreshadowing in this story. The first one, I would say that Gawain knew he was going to be killed, which is why he accepted the girdle of Miss Lady Bertilac. So he was like, I accept that the girdle, I don't want to be killed. So he like kind of foreshadowed his death. And the Green Knight also foreshadowed that Gawain was going to accept this girdle, this green girdle. And I will say that the irony in this story is, for me, the fact that the Green Knight had his head hanging right here in his hand, and that he was not dead. So that's a type of irony for me.